Hello, we are going to go over some unit rate problems to help us review for the test. You guys can see this is an old homework assignment that we've done previously. For number 1 right here, it says find the unit rate of cost per bag of chips. So it's asking for us to do that for these 4 different stores on the right. Since it says cost per bag of chips, that means that the cost is going to go in the top of our fraction. So I'm going to write down in units what I'm looking for. This will help make sure I keep track of things correctly as I'm plugging in my numbers. So I'm going to come and write cost divided by chips, bags of chips. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to find the cost for each of them divided by the number of chips. So for this first one, I'll do my $17.94. I'll divide it by 6. And that'll tell me the total cost for 1 bag of chips. When I plugged that in my calculator, I found that it is going to equal $2.99. We're going to do the same process for these other 3 stores. So for Ridley's, we're going to take the $5.78 right over here, and we're going to divide it by 2, because those are the 2 bags of chips. When I did that in my calculator, I got $2.89. So I'd write that next to it, $2.89. And then for Walmart, same idea. We do the $15.95 divided by 5. So I'm going to write that right here, divide by 5. And you end up with $3.19. $3.19. For the last one, we do cost divided by the number of items. And that gave me $2.59. Now that we have each of these costs there, we'll be able to move forward and answer some questions about it. So question 2 says, how much would it cost to buy 3 bags of chips at Maverick? Whenever I read a question like that, my first thought is, well, how much does it cost for just 1 bag? So we're going to go over and look at what we wrote for the unit rate for the cost for 1. That was $2.59. So I'm going to write this over here. We're going to be using that guy, and we're going to be timesing it by the number of them that I want, which is just 3. Okay, so you multiply it by the 3 bags of chips, and that'll tell you the total cost if you decided to buy 3 of them. So I'm going to plug that in my calculator. Let's see what I get. 259 times 3. Okay, I get $7.77. So that would be the total cost for my purchase if I bought 3 of these from Maverick. So they were just asking you to find the unit rate and then to decide how many of them you're going to buy and just multiply those 2 numbers together. For number 3, this question says, if I had $25 to buy chips at Walmart, how many bags could I buy? So we're looking at Walmart's. We already found our unit rate. We found over here that it cost us $3.19 for 1 bag. So looking over here, we have a total of $25. So we don't have, we only have that amount to be spending. So coming over here, we would do the $25 we have total. And then we're actually just going to divide it by our unit rate. Our unit rate was $3.19. When we do this, it's going to tell us how many bags of chips that we could afford. So remember, the procedure is to take the total amount of money you have and then just divide it by the unit rate, which is the cost for 1 bag. When I put this in my calculator, I get a decimal. I get something like 7.84 if I round correctly. But looking at this, can I actually buy a partial bag of chips? Would Walmart actually sell me that? The answer is no. So now the question is, using our logic, would we round up or would we round down? So if Walmart won't let me buy a partial bag of chips, I also bet they won't give me some extra money to buy the rest of the bags of chips. So we're going to have to round down to 7 bags of chips. That would be our final answer. So a lot of you guys may have missed this on a quiz because you may have forgotten to round appropriately. So you need to use common sense and think, can I have a partial of an item? Some questions ask for partials, let's say, of gummy bears. Can you eat a partial gummy bear? Yeah, well, probably. But when it's asking about how much can you buy, you normally can't buy partials of things. Okay, so the next question is asking which store has the best price on chips. So I think the software got rid of the unit rates I'd written above, but you would just go and compare and see which of them had the cheapest dollar amount for just one bag. So I'm going to read those off. For Kent's, it said $2.99. For Ridley's, it said $2.89. Walmart, it was $3.19. And Maverick, it was $2.59. So comparing those 4 unit rates, I would just pick that Maverick has the cheapest cost for one bag of chips, the cheapest unit rate, because it was $2.59. So I would go to the Maverick first because that one had the best price on chips. For this last question, it's talking about Joey Chestnut again. He's in this eating competition, and it says that he can eat 13 donuts in 2.5 minutes. How many donuts can he eat in 5 1/4 minutes? So the first thing I think when I see problems like this is how can I find the unit rate so I can find the amount of donuts he can eat in just 1 minute. That always has to be your first thought process, because then you'll be able to decide what to multiply by next. So right here, I look at what the question is asking to figure out how to set up the units that it's looking for. So when I read the question, it says how many donuts can he eat? So since it's asking for donuts, I'm going to make sure I'm going to stick that unit into the top of my fraction. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to write donuts, abbreviated, divided by the minutes. So now I'm going to figure out, well, if it's asking for donuts first, I better stick the 13 in the top. And then it's asking per how many minutes. Well, it already gave me the 2.5 minutes right here. So I'll divide that by 2.5 minutes. This process right here, by dividing these two numbers, I'm going to find the unit rate for the number of donuts he can eat in 1 minute. So I'm going to pause and plug that into my calculator. So we'll be getting 13 divided by 2.5, and you get 5.2 donuts. He can probably eat partial donuts, so I'm okay with that. He can eat that many donuts, so I'm going to label that D, divided by 1 minute. So that's our unit rate for how much he can eat in 1 minute. Now that I have my unit rate, I can multiply it by the 5.25 minutes, the 5 1/4 minutes, and that will help me figure out the total number of donuts he can eat in that time. I will know I set this up correctly if my units on the diagonals cancel. So I can see my minutes right here and minutes right here will cancel, and I'll be left with my unit right here, which was donuts. Okay, so I'm going to plug these two things in my calculator. I'm doing 5.2 times 5.25. You could plug it in as a fraction as well if you wanted. And I'm getting 27.3 donuts that he can eat in 5 1/4 minutes. So I would put my units right beneath it, donuts, and that would be my final answer. So for an overall review, if all else fails, start by finding the unit rate, which means you'll be doing the cost divided by a number of things. So you'll be putting cost in the top part of your units. Another thing to keep in mind is that once you find your unit rate, you need to figure out what the question's asking you. Is it asking you to find multiple of a certain item like it was doing in question 2 when it said for 3 bags of chips? Or is it asking you to figure out how many you could buy if you start off with a total budget? If you start off with a total budget of $25, you need to divide by the unit rate, and that'll tell you the total number of things you can buy. Don't forget to round appropriately, and I hope this helps as you are studying to retake your quiz or test. Thanks.